Hey, Brad, Dan, what's going on?
Hey Scott, thank you for the really good introduction. Bradley, how are you?
I'm doing very good. How are you, my friend?
Fantastic. Brad, I believe this is our first Q&A of the year. Happy New Year, good big
My
fella.
goodness, Happy New Year. I
Unless
noticed.
my short-term memory is so poor that we've already done one, but I think
Look how young you look. You're getting younger and younger. I'm looking at your picture here. You need to share your screen so that we can see your desktop rather than your beautiful face. But
it is
although that's
pretty.
nice.
Thank you.
There
Thank
we
you.
go.
So, Brad, and Scott, ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thank you for joining myself, Brad, Scott, and many of the other assistants that we have at Trade Ideas for our first Q&A webinar. And Brad, I'm going to be setting the bar kind of high for the new year. I mean, it's like kind of walking out on the basketball court, taking your first half-court shot, not that you take many, but you know I do. And of
I know
course,
you do.
swishing it in.
Well, I'd expect nothing less than that. So yeah, we're ready for it. Best of the year, right? No doubt.
Dang it, it's the good for sure. Now this time, look, that Williams fella's smart. This one is going to be the best one of the year so far. But before we get going, Brad, the disclaimer. We disclaim the disclaiming, the
We
disclaimer.
disclaim we're not a registered investment advisor. We do not advise you on what you should be buying and selling, although we're creating incredible idea generation technology. I mean, that's what our software does. It gives you ideas on what you should trade, but we're not telling you what to do. You should seek a registered investment advisor to do that.
For your specific registered investment type of kind of advice, we are the eye openers for you. We are the education providers, but it's the kind of education that can feed you. Isn't that why we get educated, Brad?
Yeah, I mean, we get educated. I mean, look, we never stop developing. We never stop creating technology here that helps find you great things in the market. So you guys want to hear what we're doing and see how to use it. This is where you want to come.
Absolutely. And before we jump in, and we're going to jump in rather quick, like I said, it's going to be the best one ever. We got to say thank you to you guys, our customers, and Brad and I do this throughout the year. Scott, of course, and Barry, and again, all the other Trade Ideas players that came through and come through for us every day. We're a very unique company, virtually no turnover for 13 or 14 years, I believe, and we've been in business since 2003. This is 2020, so this is our 17th year. And Brad, I don't think I've aged one day.
17. No, you haven't aged a day.
Nah, no.
Some wisdom, though. You've gained wisdom.
Gained wisdom, no aging. But in all honesty, and Brad, I got to do this at the marketing meeting yesterday, and I was really stoked about it. I got to tell everyone that as we welcome in the new year, we want to say that we finished our 2019 year, thanks to you, our subscriber, people that are interested and understand the value that we provide. We closed out 2019 with the most revenues that we have ever made in the 17-year history of the company. And Brad, obviously, that it's an important thing that we talked about in our meeting yesterday, but we do owe a gigantic gratitude to our customers who show up at these Q&As, because they are the bread and butter that lets us do this. Without who? Without the venture capitalists.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And we do have a good number of people that have been with us since the beginning, so it's nice.
Yeah, guys, there is a person. I mean, I don't want to say his name because we don't dox our customers. But there's a guy who's been around and still does it since 2004. I don't think we started charging since so we started charging at the either I think middle of 2003, and someone from 2004 is still on that same subscription never touched it, never stopped it, and is still using it. I hope he's upgraded, Brad.
Yeah, what was it? It was like $38, right, a month?
Yeah, something like that. But in all honesty, ladies and gentlemen, patriots of Trade Ideas, we thank you. We are grateful, and we're really excited to begin 2020. And as Brad said, we're gonna hit the ground running. So let me jump into what we've been doing. As you can see, this is a PowerPoint slide. I want to take it really slow. But before I dive into what you're seeing, because Brad, it's kind of self-explanatory, wouldn't you say? So we're going to assume you kind of almost know what I'm showing you, but I want to explain that we are adding, of course, a feature where you can now see news in your single stock window. That's the window on the right. And this is, Brad, remind me again, please, is this in our beta already or is it not?
Well, to be totally honest with you guys, I was going to release a beta here this afternoon for everybody, but in using this one here, it's a little bit slow. So we're gonna work on that little fix that we need to do, and it should be by Friday. So that's what I'm targeting.
Which is perfect, but I still have it. And when Brad says slow, Brad, it's not completely noticeable by the lay person, I would say.
Not at all. But it's important to get it right when we put it out, right?
100%. But here's the thing, and Brad, as you know, I don't prepare you for these Q&As. So you don't even know what I'm going to be saying.
Nope, I got to be on my.
That nobody's got. But really, ladies and gentlemen, beyond just being able for you to read news, and kind of, do you see, Brad, where I'm drawing the lines? I'm trying to get you to understand that, by the way, having news, it's not anything new. I mean, news has been around before Trade Ideas has been around. But we have fully integrated it into our Pro software. And I'm going to show you, again, where you can now start to make, we're trying to change the game with the way news is going to be done. Okay, and let me show you, Brad, because again, you don't know what I'm doing. I don't tell you, but it's some good stuff. And,
Tell me.
And what I like to do is I like to do things when they're already done. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is my mouse. See here, I'm circling with my right hand. My left hand is in my pocket for demonstrative purposes, Brad. So what's happening is now you're consuming data, and remember, this is where I want to get a little bit of into the neuropsychology of performance, Brad, if I may, okay? Because it is important. First of all of us, you guys have all heard of speed reading, right? Brad, you've heard of it. I mean, you understand that there's guys.
I wish I could speed read, sure.
And ladies who can read very quickly. They can read a page in 2 seconds. They visually see all the words and stuff. So they've practiced an art form of that, etc. But we're, Brad, now trying to basically be able to download into you information that's going to kind of let you see things. First of all, you're not going to miss anything, but do you see how it's kind of going a little fast, right, Brad? And by the way, as you know, I can customize this, right? Where can I customize the surfing?
Yeah, you can customize it, but I don't think it's going to be something that you're going to want to demonstrate. It's something that we can help you do. It's in what we call an XML file, and
that's right.
A custom XML file that we can set up. So you can customize the delay and the number of symbols that it looks at. That's
right. My point is that all the same stuff that you've seen before, oh, look, I put my mouse on the chart, and what happened, Brad?
It knows that you're looking at it and considering something, so it pauses it.
Right. So now I'm reading the news a little bit more. So so what's going on? There wasn't really any news out recently. And why is it? Well, because these are the ProShares Ultra 3X crude oil ETFs. There's nothing, interesting about that. Okay, so now we're going to go, so a couple of things are happening here, right? Brad, number one, we're injecting also our own signal information. So you're seeing that Trade Ideas has been picking up Grubhub since the 7th. I'm sorry, is it November 15th? Okay, November 15th, and then we have it on December 11th. And since both of these pickups at 38, it has since gone up to 54. So you're learning something. You're learning how signals are interpreted in a more of a swing context, like what this system is kind of trying to find. But now, of course, you can really visually, as you're watching this, see, okay, I see what's going on here. So what would be going on here? You know, the 3D, oops, sorry.
That's one thing. So as we were doing this, it's another window that we need to pause it in when you're in there.
Oh, I love it.
We learn this as we go, guys.
Well, that's one of the reasons why, you know, again, which one was that? It was Grub, right? Yeah. Okay.
You're on Grub, yeah.
Sorry. So first of all, I can go like this and I can pause it and click on Grub and not pause it. I love it. It has to go through its thing. Okay. So anyways, you can see the story. Click on this story and you'll be taken to a browser window that'll open up where, again,
you could have that on a second monitor and the whole thing.
Yeah. I'm just showing you, the general idea of what you're able to now do. And what I'm trying to say is that when you combine that with our surfing, which can be turned back on, you're going to be noticing information at in a different level. Like, you know, Brad, for example, my eyes kind of maybe go a little bit towards the center. That's why I popped this one up, you know, because I'm saying, okay, what's going on? That's a hold rating, but that's on the 8th. So that wouldn't, you know, so whoever this is, they're not that good. So, you know, I'm just kind of visually figuring it out, and I can now just give that extra possible, you know, confidence gathering information. And the thing that we're really trying to show is that with the idea surfing, you're able to digest so much more than you ever thought you could, and you kind of get a different type of story, Brad. One of the reasons why is that the sort order is part of the things that, you know, is sort of driving the news here, right? So now you're going to see like these stocks that are pushing higher. Well, what is, because again, we know that they're kind of 20-day high level. What is it that's really possibly responsible for this kind of movement? And you'll have the whole portfolio of information, whether it's something that could be insider information, and again, with Grub, you know, there's plenty of that to look into. Now you have the complete set of news from lots of different sources. There's a Yahoo source, stuff that, again, just makes it a lot more easier to get a sense and a feel. We, you know, Brad, we've always said that we were there before the news because volume precedes news. People who know the information before it comes out are already acting on it in that unusual way.
Yeah,
right?
There's no question that the data comes to you through the alert and top list and multi-strategy windows, and you know that's where you're getting your ideas. This right here just allows you to really understand maybe a little more clearly why things are happening. But the move's already happened. I mean, it could still continue to move for sure and be a catalyst of it, but yeah, we're finding that information based on the data points, and not just the market data points, but the special data points that we create along the way.
And Brad, one of the things that, again, you know, it lets you now peruse these channels, okay, in a slightly different type of way. You know, number one, like we said, on automatic pilot, you know, if something catches your attention, like, you know, we saw that thing, I forgot what I clicked on, sorry. But my point is that the exploration of the story becomes much more interesting when you can, in a second monitor, instantly pull up the news all in the same platform.
Or not have it maximized.
Or not have it maximized. I don't like you. Okay. He's a smart aleck. You know, and you can, like Brad said, you can just combine your browser, whether you want to view it on one screen. Does it do a new one, Brad? No, it goes just new tab, right?
Do a new tab. It's really how you have your browser set up. If your browser is set up to add tabs, that's how it'll do it. If it's set up to bring in new windows, it'll do it that way.
Okay, so that's okay. Good to know. So that's a personal setting that you would have to do. So now again, every single stock window, and this is whether you're on premium or on standard trade ideas, comes with the news.
So you pulled up Grub before. Do me a favor, click on Grub. It happens to still be over there on your single stock window or on your top list right there. So one thing that kind of stood out in my mind, I mean, there's a lot of great things about Grub here and the whole price action that it's had since the AI made a couple of calls. And, you know, the idea of these AI calls, and that's what you see on the chart, is to really have ideally a positive trade at the end of the day for you to make that decision whether you want to continue to hold it for a longer term period. But, you know, at that point of that initial buy signal right there, what a beautiful setup as it's thinking it might want to fill the gap. You know, ultimately that's what it's going to try to do if it's not going to collapse. But so that's kind of the natural progression. And upon that second signal right there, whether you took the trade or not, either, you know, intraday or even deciding to swing it, you could have put a price alert right there, kind of at the high of that, you know, I don't know, what was it, $43 or $44, somewhere at the high of that daily chart range. And when that price alert triggers, it just gives you some great opportunity. And so really a combination, it really showed me using a combination of kind of the AI longer term signals on here with our price alerts really is a good 1-2 punch.
Well, Brad, as you I think were noticing, do you see like how far I scrolled down into the news in the window? So I was able to go to December 3rd, which is right around here. And then our system made another buy call at December 11th. And again, there's an interesting article. It says from this guy, could be worth watching. Like, we beat the article. I mean, I'm sorry, we didn't beat the article. Well, we beat it here, but we and we can't go back to the 15th. I don't know exactly how many days.
A lot of times we can, but it really depends on how many stories.
That's right.
So it's a pretty active stock with stories, and so that's why it's not.
And then here's something else. Now this again almost starts to kind of explain this move. You know, the one that happened on the 11th. Look, analyzing Grubhub. Grubhub could make scrumptious again through a merger. You know, that's a buyout or something. And I think maybe that's kind of the thing where you can actually read the story and understand a little bit more about the swing strategy. Now, again, remember, ladies and gentlemen, when we model stuff via computers, right, when these signals occur, they occur in real time and through one of the AI channels that you see over here. Now, computer models are in essence already looking for the precursor to this story. You know, Brad, because behavior precedes the news. Like, and this guy could just be having like an opinion about something that then starts to match. Because again, you have smart guys doing analysis. That's what I'm trying to say. And what we're really trying to do is we're gonna information barrier break it. So that all access to everything exactly from trade ideas. Now the computer models are already doing all this kind of mathematical behavioral analysis. You know, they're trying to figure out, is there something here that we can leverage based on what we've seen before that can make me feel confident putting my money into it?
Well, you know, Dan, it's interesting. You're on the social channel right there, and news oftentimes gets translated into some of the not signals, but some of the data that we create, and not really create, but we kind of massage it with respect to social data. And social data mimics news in a way. When you start to see all these stories coming out on 12/10, you know, where the stock's starting to, you know, something's starting to happen with it, people are starting to talk about it. Well, that's also mimicked in social volume, which we monitor and we keep a relative value of. So when people start chatting about it and tweeting about it and talking about these stocks more, we kind of make that a numerical value in a way that you can be alerted to and identify these particular stocks. So in social volume, that's one way. Relative volume is another way. You know, a lot of different ways. And so we're finding these stocks a lot earlier than these stories are getting written based on these data points that we're looking at, and the relative data points at that, which really make them stand out.
but to add, Brad, to what you're saying, ultimately, right, our goal is to be able to give you as much quick information that you can use. And you guys have asked us for a long time if it would be possible to integrate news. So there's two things happening here. We're listening to you. We're adding stuff that you've asked for a long time. We're making it easier for you to spend time with trade ideas because, again, it's not like we're creating the story, but we're pulling it in from Motley Fool for you. There's a Seeking Alpha. We're going to figure out what's going on. You know, what is this stuff? Could I use this information? Like, does this information really make sense with a call or with my visuals? You know, this is going to let you do that in a much better way. So again, everything is here.
I mean, we've spent a lot of time on news, and mind you, it's kind of the latest little feature, but it's just one very, 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 very small component of what we've got here in the Trade Ideas platform, both in the application. The news hasn't quite made it to the web yet, but we will be enhancing the single stock in the web to accommodate all of that new features and function.
Well, again, here, you know, here do I square, oh, come on. Y-square outlook is looking so bright for 2020, and it looks like, you know, somebody listened to this information. This was the 12th, so that's like right here. And again, not predicting, because again, you can't do it, but it was pretty close to the bottoms here, and really then started to pick up steam, and it's picking it up as we speak. So again, you can start to kind of get a feel for and see, you know, first of all, notice, Brad, right, that news can also, just because a story comes out doesn't mean anything happens right away, right?
Definitely not.
Not everybody reacts to it the way that you would think or anticipate.
Well, look, man, everybody has an opinion too, right? And
right. It's just that you can right here now then read it and see if it jives with you. Again, a lot of what we do is trying to get you to realize that you don't always need that kind of confirmation, but what's nice is now you can kind of quickly at least get to it. I mean, here's a guy who said the target, Brad, was 73.89. So now you're seeing kind of, there's sort of like there's a similarity. Everyone's starting to get a little bit more positive on it. And then sure enough, it double bottoms and goes pretty high. I mean, from here, 61 to, I mean, almost 10% up. Once again, you're now in the same place. You can just stay here. You can allow the information to surf to you. And when something kind of touches you or goes where you instinctively feel like you should, you know, you can click on it and see what's going on. What was it that caught your attention? Beyond Meat, what's it doing? I mean, that's a stock that can do a lot. There's so much writing on this stuff. And they've looked terrible, so like, they got to do something.
Let me take Justin's question. He's got a question here, and I'm not sure I fully understand it. We'll kind of work our way through. It says, is the price volume movement real time or delayed? Well, I mean, it's certainly real time. Everything that's happening in this platform here is real time. We're analyzing different time frames. Like, for instance, go down to the volume channel. It's one of the channels down towards the bottom there. I like this one here because it kind of shows you how we take volume, which is really something we analyze very, very well, and we break it up into a lot of different component parts, a lot of different time frames. And these top lists right here on the bottom left, they give you some examples of the different time frames that we're at. So while everything's happening, the price action's happening in real time, we're looking at, you know, maybe what's happened over the last 5 minutes, what volumes happened over 5, how much has it moved up, or how much has it moved down, or what's the range over the last 5 minutes. And so we quantify it all in that way. But everything here is real time. Can't trade unless it is, really. I mean, you could certainly do a longer term perspective, but the whole idea of trade ideas is really maximizing your entries and finding the right time to get in so that you can find these stocks that are moving incredible moves, moving 5, 10, 15, 20, 100%. I mean, over very short periods of time. So, you know, you don't have to make your chops on trading all these giant movers, but when the opportunity presents itself and the software's delivering these ideas to you, as you become more experienced in the market, they just kind of stand out to you. And yeah,
well,
I
you
mean,
can also kind of get a sense of how extreme some of this volume surging is. Look at that, Brad. I mean, it's been like basically doing absolutely nothing, right? Then all of a sudden, boom, just explosion. And if you come in here, you can see that relative volume is 140 times. So it's like, for this thing, it's tsunami. But you get to see it happening and look at the behavior of it. I mean, that's, each one of these is 5 minutes. I mean, you got some time to get in. I mean,
so Caesar, this isn't a great example of a channel that shows some position and ranges. I bet if you hit any other channel, you're going to find a bunch of position and ranges, but we do the position and ranges on all different time frames. So the standard one, the one that we came out with first, was the position and day range. I don't see, yeah, it's over there. So if we're looking over on the left-hand side, we've got 2 position and ranges. So we're looking at 2 different time frames, and we've got them intraday, longer term, the year, lifetime. So we've got all of these, but that position and day range is looking at where's that stock right now, where's it trading at this moment in time in relationship to its intraday high and low. So it kind of gives you graphically, you can see exactly OPGN really closed towards its high of the day without even pulling it up on a chart, you know, but you pull it up on a chart, you can get that visual reference as well. All of these different graphical indicators are broken down into a numeric value that you can use in your, you know, if you want to set up a window and configure it, it can be a filter for you. You know, we've done it all right here in these channels, all these workspaces, but yeah, if you want to configure it yourself, you can do that. And you know, that top one, Ruby right there, that's 100%. That's at that closed at the high of the day. So that's in fact right now it's trading above where that closed. So that's when it builds up the whole span.
Yeah, so it's 49 cents in the aftermarket. You know, Brad, for me, like I said, I just love having the freedom to quickly be able to just see something, you know, react to it in this way, yet another way. So I have to go searching around somewhere else for this information. You know, that is the big thing that we have been talking about, is that while we don't think that this is the critical component, but it's one of these. So my Porsche bread has these beautiful sunshades for the inside, you know, where it's not a window. It's basically like a shade on your window. You've been inside, you know.
It's a great chew toy for your dogs, huh?
Absolutely. But you know what I'm saying? It's a luxury feature. You know, it's nice. And that's kind of how we feel about the news. And very shortly, you will be able to, of course, download the beta and see pretty much exactly what I'm saying. Okay, so really quick, by the way, Brad, you know, so we talked about catching your eye. In here, catch your eye.
Yeah. I would look at this right here and look at what a great opportunity for risk reward, and probably I would size myself appropriate. I don't think I would want to stay long this thing, you know, below $8, but sure, great opportunity, you know, to buy this thing with fairly low risk. Or I'd use my price alerts and grab it either on a pullback or if it continues to want to go.
So since we're here on the Q&A, and many of you are going to be starting with us probably after today because you're seeing how amazing it is. Let's talk about 2 ways that I can box this situation from my mind. Okay. Number 1, I can say get long. I have to learn how to type. Get long and set stop below 8. So remember, these price alerts give you an ability to kind of do something, let it go, because again, you don't need to worry about, you know, you're just going to react to whatever it is that you said. And by the way, you can kind of set it and modify it real quick, maybe for 5.5, Brad, right? So then I can come right here and say create another alert, but this time I'll say 8:22. So I'm actually telling myself, Brad, in a way, the order is irrelevant. I kind of have a game plan for, like, for example, I would, if this goes to 955, I buy, let's say, 200 shares. If it pulls back to 825, I buy 200 more, and my stop is right below 8. So, like, I'm giving it, I'm giving this pullback, because again, remember, there's still action right here, right? Yep. So we know some area levels, but goes below there. But this is just BS. But I know that, look at this. Which way has the system been calling it? One way only, long. And there's a lot of potential. Again, it's been at higher levels, and we've been catching it here. And again, remember, guys, entry and risk management are two things that work together. And we never ever say that our system is always right, by the way. You can't do that in the stock market. You can just have a game plan and then work through what is happening, okay? And we also, of course, all throughout all of this year and the previous years, this is, Brad, I think, where it's really kind of nice to say, by the way, guys, there's a complete suite of education and educating material that tells you how to understand this data better, how to react to it, so that it works with your particular trading style. Are you in a swing kind of environment? Are you in a more of an intraday kind of environment? Whichever way you work it, we have some opportunities for you to specify your education environment. So we take it very seriously. It's like, to create this good technology, we also have to give you a straight path to figure out how to work with it and how to get the most out of it, which you have at your convenience virtually every day. And this is also, Brad, I mean, obviously this is a part of it, because here we're talking to you, we're showing you new technology, and we're telling you that, look, without risk management, the idea, by the way, and especially now that people have zero commissions, the idea here, Brad, is you have no barrier to entry. There's nothing to fear. You're not going to chew yourself up on commission. It's just a risk reward kind of thing. It really is. And then the idea is to catch the bigger moves. Hopefully you were able to catch this.
No big move.
Yeah, because you tried here, it didn't work out. You tried again here. Maybe on the swing you were able to stay in. Then you're adding. Then it really, again, at here, remember, we cannot predict the future. We're just reacting to data as it's happening, and we're processing it, and we're trying to create the best game plan for you. The other thing to understand is that every little stock that you're going to see, with everything that you notice, you're going to have a game plan for that stock. So notice some swing on it with our price alerts. But Brad, if they weren't here, and let me just move them out of the way a little bit. Say they're right here.
Value that's based upon the stock's volatility, its relative volume, and its range for the day. So that's that smart stop. And then we're taking a longer term approach when we're populating the swing exit on there, looking back, in a longer term period and defining what your risk would be if you were to get in and try to hold for a longer term on this particular, stock. So again, no matter which stock, and it could be something that you talk about every day. So Dan, do me a favor, pull up a Bed Bath & Beyond again, but go to the details tab. Don't go to the news tab yet. Just, yeah. So, this is how we look at this numerical data right here, and we can see that red field that's standing out to us, right? It says January 8th, post-market, well, that's today, post-market earnings date. So we've taken a data point, the earnings. That's clearly the news today. Go over to the news tab and see what we got here. So yeah, so your news that you're going to get is their report. You can drill down and dive into it and see exactly how that was. Maybe listen to the earnings call and all that. But that data right there, the earnings, that's letting you know there's going to be some volatility after hours, more than likely, one way or another.
Yeah, and again, you can just drill down. You know the earnings, and you can imagine that they're some sort of a disappointment. Now you can try to figure out, what that disappointment possibly could have been. So here, I actually clicked on that story, and it said they slipped to a loss in Q3 on lower revenues. So, and again, here, that doesn't look good, but kind of makes a little sense. But interestingly enough, right, Brad, look at the after hours action.
What a bounce, right? I mean, sure, it's down a couple bucks right now, but boy, what an incredible move.
I mean, very big comeback for it.
Look at all that volume.
Yeah, somebody said I'll take it. I'll take that volume here. They're big fans, and once again, Brad, reminding me, which stock did we do that alerts for? Should I already know?
What are you talking about? Grub? What
was it? Ruby? Yeah, it was this one.
Oh, right.
Ruby is therapeutics. Okay. So there's a couple of things I want to point out to you guys is that regardless of how you view trading, sometimes, you come across setups, Brad, that when they work, they provide some of the kind of best feeling of like, okay, nailed it. This to me, and this is one of the things you can just take from this Q&A, because it's like in the Q&A, we're going fishing together, right, Brad, a little bit? Like, meaning that literally, like, where you guys are on the boat ride, it's Brad and I, we're throwing our lines in, but we want to show you how some fish are caught. And this is one of the ways, this is one of the more beautiful patterns, right, of supply and demand, Brad. And your eyes should tell you that without me having to say it, but they most likely confirm what I see, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, without a doubt, but know this also, that it doesn't necessarily, this bullish move right here, this potential bullish move that may end up at $12 or $13 a week or a few days from now, that doesn't mean that it's going to just necessarily keep going up and have another green candle. It's very possible the next day is going to be down a little bit, and it's just a longer term approach isn't necessarily always easy at the beginning.
Absolutely. But you have the beauty here of really beautifully controlled visual risk, as I kind of slide my alert right here, even though this is what I would say would be another buy for me. But I'm just saying that if you were just in right here, if you were decided, I just must have it, okay, you buy it, well, then again, you know that your supposition of supply and demand is wrong when you get below these levels, because basically it has not been below these levels in, well, many days, Brad. These guys still feel pretty, all right. I mean, like, they're not in that much danger. They're like, okay, that's where I bought it. Do you see what I'm trying to say? These guys aren't that happy. You don't know what's going on here. But it's almost like, it's like, okay, I'm settling. And when they go, if they can find momentum after this kind of a reversal, they're typically, that momentum, like, it's kind of like surfing, Brad. That wave will look good.
So Dan, a couple of things. So Caesar's asking about those blue arrows, and we'll get into the AI trades. We'll talk about how those signals are generated, but those are previous ideas from our AI that were delivered and just historically archived right here. But I thought it might be interesting. Are you planning on showing Brokerage Plus at all today?
Yes.
Because I thought another, another way. Look, you can set these price alerts. Another way is you can always simulate getting into that stock and see exactly how it would perform, and you could simulate with a share size that is commensurate with how you would trade, the type of size that you would trade, and That way you can get a real-time feel of what it would be like to be in it, and a real-time feel of setting stops and putting your stops down at those, wherever you want to. And but it's a very interactive platform, a lot of different ways to do some similar things. We allow you to keep P&L on your price alerts and stuff, but this Brokerage Plus simulation, this really allows you to simulate exactly what would be going on as if you were trading, real money in the marketplace. So with the exception of your orders aren't live, they're not going out there, and you're not always waiting for, when you're live in the marketplace, you may or may not get hit and such. And so it's a little bit easier to get filled in a scenario like this, but it definitely gives you the feel of how you should be sizing, how you should be using your protective stops. And so yeah, Dan's just connecting there to the simulator. He happens to be on the Brokerage Plus channel. That's the channel that we have, channel bar over on the left. He just selected the Brokerage Plus. You could bring Brokerage Plus up with any of our channels. This one's just kind of all set up.
Yeah, and this channel, again, it says, shall we play a game? And the whole point that we're kind of been trying to communicate to our audience is that one of the biggest troubles that investors have is they don't know what P&L feels like, what it looks like in terms of in terms of just like seeing it. So because many, believe it or not, want to get into the market, but they've never made one real investment, and this is partly because in today's society, Brad, that's not really taught. You don't know where to go for information on how to learn how to invest. It seems to either be like very hidden by the hedge funds, or supposedly hidden, right? Or there's no traditional education. But we are really that way. We are the platform that can educate you on how to work with all this data. And Brad, one of the other things I wanted to show here is the flexibility where you see like how I just duplicated my single stock window. And notice, again, I'm going to change it to something where it's paused. Now I can see all the detail information, which people can like look at the relative volume here, right? That's significant relative volume. And of course, not a big surprise, because we're talking about a pharmaceutical company. Those have been in play a lot. We've been nailing them for you guys, our subscribers. So you can quickly see, the statistics and volume. You can drill down in there too. Well, okay, 16 million in market cap, that's not a lot. And now you can, just as we had shown you, see if any of the news, makes sense to you. But you're all on the same screen, and the beauty here is, I actually traded this in my simulated environment. I was I got out of everything today, Brad, because I wanted to start fresh with the new build, because we're also testing lots of stuff, and I don't just practice for practice sake. I'm practicing for making the software better, making it easier for you guys to use. So I frequently get in and out of positions.
Well, pull up Ruby. Keep it open. Keep it like your open positions like that. I'm glad you did that. And pull up Ruby as a stock and show the audience how you can get into it from the chart. And we've set up some. I don't even want to call them macros, but some routines, right? So if you right click, you're presented with some options here, and these options are very customizable to the user. So go to Trade Ruby, yeah, the third one down. He's got the development version. You're not going to see all these different options here, but so if Dan wanted to just buy $1,000 worth of this stock right here, market order, obviously it's after hours and you can't do that, but you can do that. And at the same time, getting into that position, he also has a stop placed there, and that stop was placed at the low of the day because that's how he has it defined. But you can do anything you want. It could be like anything that you want there.
Well, and I'm kind of trying, as Brad's saying that, I'm kind of showing you that I'm moving it around so you can kind of see I'm working it on the 5-minute time frame. But what's kind of cool, Brad, is you can, whatever time frame works for you, right? And you can really see, like, oh, okay. I'm going to do a little different perspective. Maybe let's get a little right here. That means that the longs are really struggling, and I don't need to risk it anymore, And it's set automatically for you. I have to tell you, Brad, that's one of the things that really pushed demand for trade ideas to such a high level that people are seeing like, oh man, I can interact with this and I can see how I react. Like here, I had a buy at 381 and a sell at 4 or 398. So I'm kind of trying to gauge, could have gotten a little bit better, when I was feeling, but then some of these ones, of course, and here's the thing, right? When you're practicing, you really have to believe and practice like you're really there. So you can't pretend that you're always going to get out on high. So I'm kind of seeing and gauging my real response time. This is giving me feedback. And Brad, how many times you and I've talked about technique at the range, how professional athletes, they have to train the drills, right? All the time. Tiger Woods is at the range.
Practice is important no matter what your endeavor is.
Of course. And you guys know this from when you were children and you had to do homework. If you read the material and you do the practice, you're going to do better on the test. It's actually kind of that simple. And now with our ability for you to practice without risking capital, because it's all on our simulated, it's all simulated. But
make no mistake, guys. Make no mistake. Once you're ready to go live, this is set up to connect directly to Interactive Brokers, where we have on the list more people coming in the first quarter, second quarter of this year, more brokers. But yeah, you can turn this thing directly live. And with Brokerage Plus, you can not only do that right-click execution, you can use the order entry panel within it right there to send your orders to the market. But you can also automate strategies. And once you get proficient with trade ideas, you can create an alert strategy in an alert window and put your filters and back test it and do all that great stuff. And once you've created that strategy, you just drop it right in here in that strategy tab. Define the parameters. How much do you want to commit to each trade? What kind of order do you want to put in the market? What kind of risk parameters? What kind of stop, profit target, things like that. Timed exit. You put all those things in and just turn it on. Let the thing work for you. But
Brad, you know what I gotta love is I was just looking at that, and guys, and again, it's so easy to accidentally get a little overwhelmed because you may not know some of the terminology. But one of the coolest things here is that, like, if you're working with one of our guys and he can help you, like, you can just get a cloud link from them, right? That basically says, okay, import this thing, boom, and it's already all set up. I've always loved how our cloud, which is basically the ability to store your settings on our server technology, allows you for this very efficient sharing of information, so that whether you're working with one of our support people or you're in Barry's trading room, you have this advantage of getting stuff quickly, where of course you can, like, for example, look at 100 shares of market, stop at low, simply right click and edit the trading strategies and see how it was done. So what's the configuration? Okay. Entry time. Okay, so what happens if I can move it? Okay. So you start kind of like learning and understanding how it works. Fixed shares. So I guess I have an ability to go fix dollars, or okay, I don't know what this means.
I mean, to be fair, we've been doing this, like you said at the onset, for 17 years, right? And so we didn't just create a product and release it and have it be in the market for 17 years. We've been developing and creating and adding to all this. I mean, we haven't even talked about the core windows that deliver the data to you and all of that. But we need to get a little bit into the AI before we run out of time, Dan.
Right. So let me just say that again. We're a signal generating technology company. We help you find opportunities, statistical opportunities. You have to decide if they are right for you. But we show you how they perform. We show you what's at hand. So I'm going to click on the Omni AI, and I'm going to kind of go back and forth real quick. So this is the channel, Brad, that highlights all of these separate 3 different AI trading styles. Now they're different channels, but the displays would be similar, right? There's a long and a short, but the styles of the way the mathematics is worked for idea generation is different on all 3. Brad, is that a mouthful, or did we cover that well?
That's a mouthful. No, it's fine. I mean, it's these are just curated ideas. We're using our back testing technology. We're using a tremendous amount of statistical analysis to really refine. We have about 50 different, more than that now, about 55 different strategies that we're going through and analyzing. We're not, but the computer is going through every night and optimizing using our back testing technology. It's called the odds maker for you guys that are using it with the interface, but it's using that same kind of technology to determine what filters would be best modified to make the strategy perform better. And so it goes through these different strategies every night and comes up with a list of strategies that make the cut, has its own little combine where it looks to different statistics, and those various strategies that make the cut are presented to you the next day. And we have no idea what signals are going to come out of those strategies, if any at all. And in real time, you're sitting here with this window open as signals are coming in, and you click on that idea that was just generated for you. You can pull it up on a chart. It presents to you where the stop loss should be, where the profit target is, and what the entry price is, how long you should be holding it, and or what type of strategy you want to employ with that. Do you want to hold it to the end of the day or take a more conservative approach? The conservative approach today, well, you're showing the odds maker. I mean, this is a great tool. This is something that's not for everybody, but if you're into rolling your sleeves up and looking at the data and trying to use that data to make your strategy better, this thing right here is just a bomb. I mean, it looks at, Dan's on the time of day. This is breaking down like he's got it in 30-minute intervals here, and it's breaking down each of those 30-minute intervals, letting you know how many trades took place, what was the win ratio of those, what was the profit factor, what was the average winner, how much did you make out of each one of those segments, and you can turn it into 15 minutes. You could do anything, but what he's doing right there with time, you can do with every one of our filters. What's the best relative volume to use to get the best result? Essentially, that's the kind of analysis that it's doing. And,
So Brad, as you're going through this, notice I just quickly looked on the time of day optimization. I'm doing this completely by hand, but just so you can see how easy it is. I'm not programming. I'm just setting parameters, right? 6:30. So I'm going to go back to the open here, and 8:29. So what do you see, Brad, that I did there?
I apologize. I was sending Brian a message. He asked a question. Do it again.
I said, okay, notice on the time of day optimization tab, right?
Yeah.
I kind of glanced at it and said, well, it looks like the best time to trade this is between 6:30 and 8:29.
Without question. Yep.
So I went to 6:30 and 8:29. Now I'm going to simulate buy. And this is one, just an example, Brad, right, of the iterations of the data that the software goes through. Like, believe me, what I just did there manually, we have technology that's basically running it right now as we speak on our servers, and it's looking for which one of these like parameters, whether it's time of day or other filters, where you can filter things by how much something is trading 1 minute.
Wait, stop right. Don't go to anything. No, go back. Click out of that menu right there. Big example. Okay, let's just look at this. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. You don't need to be a brain surgeon. You don't even need to be a stock trader to look at this and say, boy, if I cut off everything but that first category right there, that would provide some benefit. Maybe you want to change that interval to 50, instead of 100, and give us a little bit, 25 even, take a clearer view of what's going on. But, that's a good example. I mean, even better right there. You just don't need, that type, those stocks that are having a percent of float greater than 25 here. So, but that's what it's doing, but it's doing that on the hundreds of different filters that we have.
Yeah. And again, the beauty is that just as powerful as something like Adobe Photoshop is, it depends on your style of personality. You don't need to know any of this because the software is already doing it. Okay. We're giving you the signals. They come out kind of like this, potentially. You now have the ability to right click and instantly choose a course of action. And again, as Brad said, it's after hours, but we're playing pretend. Okay. And now look, you look at this thing and you can say to yourself, okay, I don't know, right around here. That's when it really started to pick up, comes back, and size myself accordingly, because this is the art of the deal, right, Brad? You have to know how much can you risk. So here, are you buying 1,000 shares or 200 shares or 10,000 shares, right? Because the capital is not going to be a lot. It's how much can you risk on this move between the difference of 171 and 120, which is 50
You didn't even
cents.
mention the other category, which was, I mean, when we first added it, I thought it was just incredibly neat, and that is being able to put a risk-based trade out there. And so essentially, maybe you only want to risk $100 for your trade, and based upon the distance to your stop price, it'll give you the exact share amount to make it so that if in fact you got stopped out based on that original stop price that you have in there, then you're only going to lose that amount of money that you had specified.
And that's a fantastic thing, right, Brad? Because what does it do? It allows you to have some expectations on your losses, right? I mean, that's the difference. If you're focusing on more, that's kind of like what I call a trade ideas invented strategy of risk management that is more mimics real mathematics. Why? Well, because if you're losing a certain amount per trade, you should expect to lose that amount per trade and that amount only, right, Brad?
Yeah.
See, it's kind of like doing the reps, but with a very specific way. If for some reason you're not doing something, or you said that you set your risk loss to $100, but for some reason you're interacting with it and you're losing 200 or 300 or 1,000, whatever it is that you're doing, well, you know that that's where your mistake is. It's that simple. And that's a very powerful way to learn, Brad. Most people don't know exactly what they're doing wrong. And I think it requires much more feel to figure that out in a per share or a per dollar amount versus a per risk amount. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like if basically you and I are saying, hey, if we were going to learn golf from scratch, knowing what we know now, like what kind of training aid would you have? And this is the kind of training aid where basically your loss should be this thing and this thing only. Then it's just a matter of getting your percentages up. Nothing more, nothing less. All your risk is already known. If you lose 10 times and it's $100 per loss, well, you're going to be down $1,000. Knowing that, Brad, is a very key component.
Yeah, because if you can't afford that, then you're trading with the wrong size.
Absolutely. And sizing the position, I mean, that is the other art of the whole thing. You have to know how much you can handle. And again, we give you the tools to be able to make those inferences much more mathematically. And although we're, again, we're still such an exciting show today, Brad.
Well, that's what makes a trader, though, to be honest with you guys. We can give you these signals, but you have to know when the opportune time to double that thing and just really step on it, or when to go light. That's important that you understand yourself and when to do that.
100%. And I think one of the things that we're shooting for in 2020 is to kind of showcase the fact that we are indeed not just idea generation, but we're your full education venue. It's almost like we're your Mar-a-Lago, we're your golf course where you have a training facility and you can play the game, because the courses are real, but you can then go to your digital movement simulator, you can go to your pitching putt and practice short game, again, golf references, but here it's the same thing. But your ability to practice what we are just talking about, make these mistakes in simulated modes, see how well you do, how well you behave. Nobody's got that ability for you to be able to do it. With the kind of
you have to find your sweet spot. You have to find out what kind of trader you are. Are you a short-term, long-term? How are you? How's a trader? And everybody's different.
And you know, Brad, like how hard it is to do with real money right away and succeed, because you get very quickly get triggered. Finances are something that guard our most deepest and darkest, right? And so when you are pulled into that environment where you start getting uncomfortable, that quickly leads to poor risk management and continuation of poor behavior, which we want to avoid. The way this is avoided by getting confident on simulated data, but doing it rules-based. That's it. But instead of doing it by hand and taking notes and all this other stuff, everything is now integrated for you. The beauty of Brokerage Plus, okay, and we'll finish here too, is that, Brad, the same environment where you learn how to trade in our simulated environment, it's the same exact one when you go for real.
Yeah, it's a big benefit.
It's a gigantic benefit in terms of, again, how cognition works and the fact that all the buttons you're going to be using here in simulated mode, when you go real, they just turn real. So that's it. And simulated trading is included in standard subscription. So let's quickly, I think that's all that we can handle today, because again, we're already running late. But I explained a lot of this. Ladies and gentlemen, we're a subscription-based service, and you guys help us get there. We're incredibly cheap if you understand how awesome the software is and the power that it gives you. There's really nothing like it on the market. We've been saying that forever. And Brad, I still feel very comfortable saying that. There is no technology that is a literal competitor to Trade Ideas. We're a standalone kind of firm because we've been doing it for 17 years without venture capital. Lots of ways for you to get started. Again, this is a great venue. We're so stoked that you are here. We've added news, and now you can hear and see other people interact with this technology in Barry's trading room. Barry's been helping you here. Barry, thank you for your help in answering the questions for our audience. This is Barry's room. You create a username and password to it. You log in and you interact with a meritocracy that is led by Barry and a group of very, very high-end users of the software that trade in all sorts of different styles. So you can start relating to people, and not everyone's a guru that's trying to, again, this thing is free. You know, the trading room is free because we want people to quickly get access to high-level information and also vet for yourself. I mean, you can always go there and see, like, well, what's Barry doing? What kind of money is he working with? How is this possible? It's kind of good, Brad, right? To see if your instincts are anywhere near the instincts of other people who've done it before who are succeeding. And you can do that for free in the trading room. So I recommend that highly. On Fridays, we do a podcast. We're due for one. I think we're doing one, right, Scott? Maybe, I think. On Friday, but if not, again, continued Friday. Look at your podcast search and look up Trade Ideas Podcast, and you should be able to find us. Please sign up. We kind of give a different take on the information, but you get a lot of things first, and you hear it from the horse's mouth. All the management is the old management, as handsome as ever, right, Brad? Tons of free information because we've been working at it for a long time to get you going, different ideas, but it's for different styles. But again, something that you should read up on because it's just a really good way to get started on the right path. You always want to have a better foundation than everybody else. That's part of it, right? And this is a great way to get started. We're very easy to get hold of and active on social media. At Trade Ideas, at QuantBot, and at Today Trader are our Twitter handles. Please like us on Facebook. Feel free to call us at the number you see or shoot us an email at info@trade-ideas.com. All of this stuff that's coming together is also, Brad, leading to the soon-to-be announced gamification, where simulated trading mode competitions will be held with users and with other participants who want to just engage in the competitions for money. So Excellent. Yeah. I think that is it, Scott.
Right on, sounds good. Anyone looking for the recording will be able to find it later tonight or tomorrow on our YouTube channel. You get an email reminder tomorrow from GoToWebinar with a link to the playlist. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.